Have you ever wondered why the silence of someone you loved can echo louder than 1,000 words? It's not just the absence of her voice, it's the absence of what she meant inside of you. What disturbs you is not that it has left, but the space that has been left empty and seems to have no answer. Female silence is often not cruelty. It is the end of one stage and the beginning of another. But this new stage is not about her. It's about you. When it moves away, something inside you collapses. The impulse is to go after it, to seek explanations, to try to reconnect at any cost. But Stoicism teaches us that this automatic reaction is the reflection of a mind that has not yet learned to observe itself. The first step is not to react, it's stopping. Breathe, recognize what is happening without allowing despair to take the wheel. It's not easy. The ego screams, insecurity tries to take over, and the most painful scenarios invade the mind. But here is the real turning point. The man who allows himself to feel without losing control is already ahead of the majority. Because he understands that suffering can be a bridge, not an abyss. He crosses, and as you cross, you begin to see that you don't need the other to come back to feel whole. Pain at this moment is inevitable, but prolonged suffering is a choice. And the Stoic understands this. He feels it, but he doesn't sink in. He welcomes, but does not dramatize. He is silent, not out of pride, but out of wisdom, because he knows that in silence, clarity also resides. And only with clarity is it possible to make firm and conscious decisions. This is the beginning of the journey, a point where most lose control and surrender their peace in exchange for emotional crumbs. But the Stoic does it differently. He observes the storm, but does not enter it. He watches the match, but does not abandon himself. And this is where the game changes. Not when it comes back, but when it stops getting lost. Her silence is not the end, it is the mirror, a reflection of how much you still rely on external validation to feel complete. And the real question is not, why did she walk away, but rather, why did I get lost when she left? The answer to this question not only initiates healing, but awakens the man who was asleep in you. Most men see pain as an enemy to be avoided at all costs. But for the Stoic, pain is the compass that points to where there is growth. It is uncomfortable, yes, but necessary. If it is present, it is because there is something in you that needs to be looked at. And as long as you continue to run away from it, you will continue to be stuck in the same emotional place without getting out of the cycle of dependence. When a woman leaves, she takes with her more than just physical presence. It also carries the projections, the fantasies, the dreams that you had placed on it. It hurts because you feel like you've lost something that was really yours alone. Pain then shows you this, that the loss is not of the other, but of the illusion. And it is at this moment that you have the opportunity to break with emotional blindness. Rather than resist pain, the Stoic plunges into it with awareness. He understands that what hurts today teaches tomorrow. It allows pain to reveal its frailties, its patterns, its emptiness, and instead of playing the victim, he takes responsibility, not because of what happened, but because of how he chooses to respond to what happened. Because that's what defines a strong man, the way he behaves when he's not in control. There is no evolution without discomfort. And female distancing, as unfair as it may seem, can be the missing lever for your personal growth. But for that, it is necessary to stop seeing pain as punishment. It is a process. She is a teacher, and the more you listen to her, the less she needs to scream. Pain, when well received, transforms. It rips off masks, tears down walls, and shows who you are without the applause and hugs. It brings you face to face with emptiness, so you learn to fill it with something that doesn't depend on anyone. And this is where your real emotional freedom begins. To be stoic is not to be cold. It is to be mature. It's feeling everything without being overwhelmed by anything. It is to suffer with dignity. It is to use pain as fuel to evolve. And believe me, when you learn this, no loss is able to break you anymore, because what once hurt you now strengthens you. When everything around you falls apart, the natural impulse is to try to control the uncontrollable. Force responses, begging for attention, wanting to reverse the situation in the shout, in the long text, in the unexpected call. But the Stoic knows the true power is not in trying to change the other. It is in mastering oneself. The woman walks away, and at that moment, chaos begins within the mind. Did she meet another one? Where did I go wrong? How do I make her come back? Thoughts spin like a hurricane, and anxiety pushes you into thoughtless actions. But breathe. This is where the Stoic does the opposite. He doesn't fight the hurricane. He watches the wind go by, standing calm, present. Self-control is the shield of the man who has chosen to live with purpose. It is not a matter of pretending that you do not feel, but of not becoming a slave to what you feel. Every message you decide not to send, every call you don't make on impulse, is an internal win. It's you saying to yourself, I'm greater than my neediness. While most act out of desperation, the Stoic chooses the pause. He doesn't rush to solve it. He withdraws to reflect, and in that pause, he finds clarity. He realizes that perhaps that relationship was built more on need than reciprocity, that the connection was sustained by fear of being alone, and not by genuine presence. It is in the silence of the reaction that he rediscovers his strength, the strength of not being driven by impulses, the strength to decide who he wants to be in the face of adversity, because at the end of the day, it's not about her, it's about you. About the kind of man you are becoming by choosing balance in the midst of chaos. The true Stoic does not beg to keep something that has not chosen him. He remains steadfast even when everything seems to drift apart, because he knows that what is solid is not lost, and what is lost, maybe it was never really his. It's easy to look whole when everything is in place. It is difficult to maintain your posture when what you valued most decides to leave. But it is precisely there, in the void left by absence, that you discover who you really are. The Stoic is not afraid to lose, because he is not defined by what he possesses. Detachment is not ceasing to love. It is to love without annulling oneself. It is recognizing that no one is an extension of you, and that trying to control what the other feels or does is a subtle way of imprisoning. The strong man allows people to come and go without losing their identity in this movement. True detachment is not coldness, it is freedom. Freedom to be who you are, even when the other is not around. It is the peace of not depending on someone's presence to feel complete. And more than that, it is the courage not to run after those who did not make an effort to stay. When it moves away and you don't fall apart, something powerful happens. You become a mirror, a reflex of safety, of silent strength. And this image is much more striking than any emotional speech. Because the world is full of men who beg, but scarce of men who respect each other, detachment is the state of one who is not at war with reality. It is the deep acceptance that what goes on is perhaps just making room for something that really belongs. It's not about giving up on love, but about not negotiating your dignity in its name. The Stoic does not collapse with absence. It flourishes. Because he understands that in the end, he did not lose his wife. He gained the chance to find himself again. And this reunion is always more valuable than any return. Silence, for most, is discomfort. But for the Stoic, it is strategy. It is a firm response without having to raise your voice. When you choose not to react to withdrawal with despair, but with dignity, you turn silence into language, a language that communicates strength, self-control, and personal worth. She stops responding, ignores your messages, distances herself, and at that moment most of the men scream, They try to draw attention, provoke, make themselves noticed. But the centered man understands the true power is in the noisy absence, the absence that is needed, that generates doubt, that plants curiosity. Silence is the space where you rebuild yourself, where you organize your thoughts, heal wounds, and redefine your route. It is painful at first because it puts you face to face with yourself, but that's where liberation lies. When you endure being alone with yourself, no external distance overwhelms you anymore. And there's more. Silence preserves your energy. Instead of wasting your strength trying to convince someone to want you, you redirect it to your evolution, strengthens your habits, cultivate your presence. It expands your awareness. And he becomes, naturally, someone who does not beg for attention, but who is remembered even in his absence. Not responding is not pride, it's respect. Respect for oneself, for one's own limits, for one's own peace. You don't have to fight to prove value. You just need not to stoop to be seen, and those who have eyes to see will notice. If you don't understand, be patient. Your peace is not for sale. So allow silence to work for you. He will do more for his image than any emotional speech. And in the end, she won't remember the words you said, but the firmness you held when everything told you to give in. Rejection is not a personal attack. It is an invitation to inner reconstruction. The Stoic mind is not offended by the withdrawal. She observes, analyzes, learns. Because he knows that emotional control is not born when everything goes right, but when everything gets out of control, and yet the man remains whole. What most call rejection, the Stoic calls a filter. If she left you, maybe it wasn't yours. And if it wasn't yours, why are you still struggling to maintain something that doesn't hold up? The rational man does not struggle trying to swim against the tide. He rows calmly, understanding that the sea is bigger than him, and that's why he needs to adapt without getting lost. The mind trained in reason does not respond with impulse. When ignored, she does not plead. When questioned, she does not try to justify herself. She responds with serenity as she knows that she should not prove anything to anyone but herself. This is maturity. It's self-control. It is knowing where you are and what you carry inside. She tests you with silence. He teases you with indifference. Maybe even play with your emotions, but the centered man observes like a scientist, cool but attentive. Because those who dominate their own minds are no longer manipulated by emotional games. He decides, with clarity, whether it is worth staying or whether it is time to retire with dignity. The more you react with despair, the more you confirm that you have not yet mastered yourself. But the more you respond with peace, the more life begins to respect you. This is true for her and for any situation. It's not about being insensitive. It's about having the strength not to get lost trying to please those who don't recognize you. Rejection is the mirror of your emotional maturity. You can use it as an excuse to self-destruct or as a springboard for your evolution. The Stoic chooses the second option because you know that the true value is not in being accepted, but in not needing acceptance to stay on your feet. The first reaction to suffering is to run away. Running from pain, seek distractions, engage in other relationships, numb yourself with stimuli, but the Stoic does it differently. He remains, he feels it, he faces it. Because he knows that pain can only be overcome by going through it, never skipping steps. Staying with yourself on her quiet days is one of the greatest tests a man can face. It is in this space that the ghosts of insecurity, rejection, fear of abandonment arise. But it is also in this same space that you build inner fortitude. The art of abiding begins with the courage not to abandon oneself. There is no evolution without presence. And presence is not being in the world, it is being in oneself, even on difficult days. even when it seems that everything has fallen apart. The Stoic knows that if he does not learn to be his own safe haven, he will always depend on the other to feel whole. To remain is to resist the urge to be distracted. It is to endure the discomfort of being alone and yet not giving in. It is to transform emptiness into strength and silence into wisdom. It is there that man is strengthened, when he understands that pain is not there to punish him, but to awaken him. Presence with yourself is so powerful that when you become comfortable with your own silence, the external world no longer has control over you. You become free, not because things have improved, but because you no longer depend on them to stand your ground. This is the art of remaining, being whole even when everything around you is incomplete. Not to prove something to others, but because you have compromised your own integrity. And this kind of man, it's impossible to ignore. There is a brutal difference between being present and being remembered. Many believe that in order not to be forgotten, they need to insist, show that they are there, send messages, be present. But the Stoic understands the real impact is left by those who knew how to go out with elegance. When you disappear without drama, but with posture, you plant a powerful doubt. How did he have this courage? And this doubt turns into memory, in emotional presence, out of curiosity. The Stoic man does not beg to be seen. He becomes unforgettable precisely because he does not compete for attention. The elegance of posture is more powerful than 1,000 text messages. It is the attitude of those who do not lower their dignity in search of return. It is the silence that does not scream but echoes, because there is something mysterious about those who know how to leave at the right time. And this calculated absence carries more weight than any forced presence. She will feel it, not because you made a point of remembering it, but because its absence will have contrast, an emotional contrast. The space you have left will be noticed, not because you demanded it, but because your energy is not easily replaceable. This is posture. This is subtle power. The world values those who value themselves. When you disappear with class, you don't fade. You shine in another way. You show that you know what you deserve. That is not sold cheap. And that, in itself, is an invitation to be taken seriously. Not because you asked, but because you showed it. Posture is elevated presence. It's not about being on the side. It's about being remembered with respect. And the man who understands this never runs after crumbs again. It becomes the complete meal, discreet, firm, impossible to ignore. Value is not justified. He imposes himself, not with arrogance, but with presence. The mistake of many men is to believe that they need to explain why they deserve respect, love, or attention. The Stoic understands that what is valuable is shown. Never beg. You don't have to convince anyone to choose you. You just need to stop trying to be chosen at any cost. The true value is not in how much you give yourself, but in how much you preserve yourself. This is not pride. It is awareness. Awareness that your energy, your time, and your peace have a price. Living one's worth is a daily choice. It is saying no to what you disrespect without guilt. It is to leave where there is no reciprocity, without drama. It's looking in the mirror and knowing, I don't need to sell myself to be accepted. And this is only possible when you really know yourself. She will notice. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but there will be a day when her absence will generate a silence that she will not be able to ignore, because the man who lives his worth inevitably leaves a mark, not for what he shouted, but for what he refused to accept. You don't have to prove that you're good enough. You just need to stop putting yourself in places that make you doubt it. The Stoic knows that the world responds to the way he positions himself. And that's why he chooses to act firmly, not needily. Those who live their value do not beg for space. They occupy the right space. And when that happens, everything around starts to line up, including her. Because the world turns its eyes to those who walk firmly and know what they deserve. As she leaves, the common man despairs. But the Stoic, it evolves in silence, without announcing, without showing despair, without trying to prove anything. He uses remoteness as fuel for his growth. And he transforms, not to impress, but because he understands that this is what a man does. The real turning point happens when you stop seeking emotional return and start seeking your own greatness, not out of pride, but out of commitment to who you want to become. Every workout, every reading, every reconstructed habit is a brick in the foundation of a new self. She thinks you're standing still. Who is waiting? But what happens in silence is an internal revolution. You're getting stronger, more lucid, more whole, and this does not need to be shown. It will be felt, because the energy of those who evolved speaks for itself. The most powerful thing about all of this is that you don't have to shout your transformation. The absence of its old version is enough. When she meets you again or hears about you, she will realize that that needy man is in the past, and in his place, someone who walks with purpose has emerged. Silent ascension is one of the greatest fears of those who once underestimated you, because when they realize that you have not only survived but flourished, the narrative changes. You are no longer the one who chased after it. That's what followed. And moving forward with class is a form of impact that no rejection erases. That's the Stoic way. Grow when you're expected to break, and do it without fanfare, without revenge, without ego, only presence, only action. Because those who evolve in silence, when they speak, no one has the courage to interrupt. She can come back, but when he returns, he will find a different man. Because the Stoic does not wait, he evolves. He doesn't stand there looking into the void. He transforms the void into direction. Her absence didn't paralyze you. She pushed you into yourself. And this plunge has generated something that nothing and no one can take away: growth. The mistake of many is to treat her return as the arrival of salvation, as if her return was a kind of validation. But you don't need it anymore, because now what validates you is your peace, your presence, your balance. She may even come back, but he will no longer find the same man who was left. When you really change, it's not just the appearance that changes, it's the look. It is the rhythm of speech. It is the energy that you carry. You no longer mold yourself to the steps of others. You dictate your path, and when she meets you again, she will realize you are not waiting, you're living. The reunion, when it happens, is no longer his goal. It's just another part of the way. You are no longer moved by crumbs, nor are you carried away by empty messages. You answer calmly, with sobriety, because now you know what has value doesn't have to run, and what runs too much. Maybe you don't even know what you're looking for. This new one, you don't need to prove anything. No need to shout. You don't need to justify yourself, because now you know that your value is in who you are, not who you choose. And maybe, when she realizes this, she will see you for the first time for real. Not for what she wanted you to be, but for who you really became. What if she doesn't notice? Okay. You no longer live to be recognized. You live to be whole, because the true Stoic understands that love can be choice, but dignity, this is an obligation. And those who choose for dignity will never be satisfied with little again. The victory of the Stoic man does not come with fireworks, applause, or public statements. It comes in the silence of the days when he chose to stay true to himself. When everything indicated that he should give in, beg, mold himself, he chose to stand firm. And that steadfastness is its silent glory. Did she leave? Yes. And she took with her plans, expectations, desires. But what remained was the essential, his integrity, because when you decide that your peace is worth more than the presence of someone who didn't know how to value it, you win, not the relationship, to oneself. To remain whole in the midst of rejection is one of the greatest acts of strength a man can demonstrate. It is not about coldness. It's about knowing that your life can't be sustained by someone else's choices. It's about understanding that standing isn't optional. It's a necessity. This is the victory that no one sees. The battle you fought in silence, the crying swallowed, the impulses controlled, the desires denied. All of this formed you. And today, even without medals, you carry something that few have: self-control. And that, in the end, is worth more than any "I love you" back. While she may look for you, or may never come back, the most important thing has already happened. You have come back to you. Life goes on, but you now walk with another consciousness. And this awareness changes everything. Your decisions, your relationships, your way of existing in the world. The woman may have left, but the man remained. Steadfast, strong, healthy, and that is victory. Not for the conquest of the other, but for the reconquest of himself. And no one can take that away from you. There comes a time when you understand it wasn't about her. It was never about her. It was about you. About how much you have given yourself, how much you have lost yourself, and finally, how much you have decided to find yourself again. Pain was the door. Silence was the way. But the choice to come back to himself, that was the real revolution. You've been broken, yes, but not destroyed. Pain has shaped you. Estrangement has refined you. Emptiness has strengthened you. And when you rise from the ashes, you no longer carry the old needs. You carry power, clarity, a peace that no longer depends on messages answered or people who stay. This revival is not noisy, it's profound. You no longer explain yourself. It no longer competes. He no longer runs. You just walk with your head held high, with a clear conscience, with a light soul. And this type of man is rare, because it was not forged by the ego, but by overcoming. Now, you no longer live to be chosen. You choose. You don't shrink to fit into anyone's world. You expand. And this movement is the mark of true rebirth, when man becomes greater than the pain that made him grow. The Stoic does not go back to who he was. It turns into something much more whole. And this new version doesn't ask for permission to exist. It imposes itself with serenity, with elegance, with wisdom, not to prove superiority, but to honor the process itself. In the end, you don't need her to come back, because you're back. He came back to himself, to your essence, for your truth. And that's what makes you invincible. Because those who are reborn from pain with awareness, he never again surrenders out of need.